Well, that was a awful performance. Honestly, couldn't have gone much worse. Packers lose 22-10 to the Philadelphia Eagles. And looking at this game, the Packers defense played lights out most of the day. It was the Packers offense that was terrible. It was an awful performance offensively. And Jordan Love had a very, very bad day. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And now looking at Jordan Love in his past 2 playoff games, including the loss to the 49ers in the divisional round last season, in those past 2 games, 2 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. And so as I was sitting there watching this game, the offense couldn't do a thing outside of Josh Jacobs breaking off that monster of a run late in the second half. Offensively, Jordan Love couldn't do anything. He was throwing bad balls all game. And now when you think about the Packers, they're in a spot where they've taken a step back from last season, where last year they went in the wild card round, beat the Cowboys. It was awesome. They had to play the 49ers. They then lose that game, a very close one. That was, I think, a winnable game. They showed some fight in this one. But then you have this game here, and it really couldn't have gone much worse. And to start the game like the Packers did with Keyshawn Nixon fumbling the ball. Now, I think he clearly recovered the ball. He fumbled it, shouldn't have done it. But then he got on the ball, and there was multiple angles of him holding the ball. It's like, does he not have possession right now? How did the refs stare at that and go, you know what? Yeah, he didn't secure it. He didn't secure it. The Eagles clearly got the ball, and that was the right call by us. No, I don't know. I'm still perplexed as to how that happened. But to start the game like that just takes away all your momentum. And I think you're hoping, if you're the Packers, that you get the ball in that first drive, and you being the road team, go into Philly, put together a nice drive to sort of get yourself some momentum. And so right away, the Packers lost their momentum. So to fumble it like you did, Keyshawn Nixon there, that's very unfortunate. I think the Packers should have recovered it, but still, to fumble the ball in the first play. Also, it looked like helmet-to-helmet contact, so don't know what the refs were thinking there. But then, to start off with the fumble, the defense, the first drive, they're put in a bad spot, short field. It was a few bad plays. The Eagles scored 7-0, and right off the bat, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, like, are you kidding me right now? Is this real life? Are we really sitting here down 7-0, fumbled the opening kick? They score 7 points. It was just like, golly, it felt like from that point, it's like, how are we going to come back from this? That was just such an atrocious start. And offensively, didn't get much better. Packers couldn't do anything besides really run the ball with Josh Jacobs, as has been the case for a while. And there's so many injuries in this game. With Elton Jenkins going down early on, that was clearly a major factor. And it's just crazy that all season long, the Packers offensive line for pretty much all season long was healthy. And then the first couple drives, first drive, whatever it was, to lose one of your best offensive linemen, very unfortunate. And then I think we witnessed how, weak the Packers offensive line depth is with, Glover coming in, with Kadeem Telfort coming in, guys who have nearly no experience, and there was countless holding penalties on them. So that's obviously a problem that didn't really show itself until this game against the Eagles. Then you have Dobbs going down. Hope he's okay. It looked really bad. Looked like he got another concussion after suffering one recently. Christian Watson's already down. Then Jaden Reed goes down. Josh Myers goes down at the end of the game. The Packers couldn't catch a break with all these guys going down. But to stick on the topic with Jordan Love, it's really tough for him right now, because I think there's no doubt he is a very talented quarterback, and when he's playing his best football, I really do think that there's not many quarterbacks better than him. And going into this one, I really did think that this would be a game where Jordan Love bounced back. I liked the Packers as underdogs, and I felt that there could be a similarity to what happened last year against the Cowboys. I was dead wrong. That did not show up whatsoever, and so that's unfortunate. And so when you look at Love, he hadn't thrown a pick in the regular season since like November 17th, around that date. And then to come in and throw 3 picks, it's just really unfortunate. And so I think for Jordan Love, it's like I'm trying to sit here and looking at this performance, and I do think playoffs, you do need to factor in playoff success and how guys play in the biggest games more so than the regular season. That's how all quarterbacks are going to be judged. And I think we saw, Justin Herbert yesterday have a really bad day. And he had a very solid season all season long. Then you play bad in a one playoff game, and it does affect sort of how you view quarterbacks. And so right now, It still is Jordan Love's second year starting. He definitely needs to take a lot of steps forward, but the past, 2 games in the playoffs, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3 interceptions in this one with no touchdown passes. Jordan Love has not played good. And the Packers have a lot of things to figure out offensively because all season long, Packers were top 10 scoring. It's awesome. But pretty much every team the Packers played this season, top tier teams, they struggled, especially in the first half. And usually in the second half, they made it a close game for the most part. But in this one, thank goodness the defense played like they did, which I'll touch on in a second. But to have a performance like that from Jordan Love, that's just not what you want from your $55 million a year quarterback. He looked really bad in this one. And so it just sort of makes you question going forward, okay, we know that Jordan Love, when he's playing his best football, is a great quarterback, but how often are we going to see that guy? And, can we see him take some steps forward in his third year? Because I think that, going into the season, I really did see Love as a top 3, top 5 quarterback, and I thought we'd see him take some big strides forward for the first 8-9 games. He was really slinging it, but he was throwing a ton of picks. And then in this game, it wasn't like he was... he had 3 picks, but there was not really many positives from him in this one. So, we talk about Brett Favre and, before this game, talking about, okay, well, just unleash Jordan Love a little bit, let him play loose, just sort of go play free. And I think the thing for this game is that the Eagles secondary is so talented that even on that first pick, Wicks was just covered. It was an underthrown ball. The second one, couldn't tell if Tucker Kraft, stopped running his route or slowed down or fell down. Love just throws it right to the linebacker. And so to have some of these same mistakes that we saw last year to end the season, Jordan Love on that final series against the Niners in the playoff game throws that pick across his body. These are things that you would hope that Jordan Love had, gotten better at in some areas, and he did great for the final 8 games and not throwing a pick, but in this one, you're throwing 3 picks. So a lot of this is on Jordan Love offensively. No doubt it didn't help to not have Watson and then to lose some of your other receivers, even though that was a little bit later in the game. The Packers have a lot to figure out offensively because they can beat average to below average teams and put up points, but against some of these top tier defenses, they look completely outmatched. They can't do a thing. So that's obviously a massive problem. And then looking at the Packers defense, going into this season, if you would have told me that, the Packers held Jalen Hurts 12 of 31, 131 yards. He'd have 2 touchdowns, no picks. But the Packers defense was playing lights out football majority of the day. And honestly, going into the year, I really was more confident in the Packers offense with what they'd shown in year 1 with Jordan Love starting. And I really thought we'd see a massive jump in year 2. And they did overall play better in the season, no doubt. But it was the defense today that kept the Packers in this one. The fact that the Packers were still close to within a score in the second half, all because of the defense. They were getting pressure on Jalen Hurts a lot of the day. They were, forcing him to escape the pocket. For a lot of the day, they were stopping the Eagles' rushing attack. I think it was later in that game, Saquon Barkley started having some big runs. But you have to give props to Jeff Hafley coming in here this season. And the Eagles, who have had one of the best, top 10 offense, just like the Packers, I would say for the most part, the defense did their job. And to only allow, 22 points to the Eagles, that's a great performance, and I think that the defense did what they needed to do. It was the offense that didn't really do their part. They aren't able to put up more than 10 points. And so if you want to take positives for this game, which I'm not really, in the mood to take positives right now, but I guess I'll go with it. The defense played great. And so, year 1 of Jeff Hafley, I would say was a big success. And after this game, I'd say, man, the Packers defense is headed in the right direction. Edgerrin Cooper playing great football. Evan Williams played really great today. A.J. Brown had a total of 1 catch for 10 yards, and I'd say he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. The Eagles' leading receiver, 4 receptions, 55 yards. So this was the offense's fault in this game. The defense played as they should. For the most part, shut down Jalen Hurts and played really good football. They did allow 5 yards a carry rushing, 169 yards total. I think a lot of that came later on when the Eagles consistently ran the ball. But I have no issues with what the defense did today. Outside of a few undisciplined penalties, like Keyshawn Nixon, I think it would have been a 3rd down. He pushes a guy late, 15-yard penalty. And then TJ Slayton, there in the 4th quarter, he makes the stop, and then a couple seconds after the whistle blows, throws his guy down. And it's just penalties like that It's like what's going on here? You can't play undisciplined football like that. And it felt like there were just a lot of plays where the Packers players were just like, when they blow the whistle, just stop playing, because there were just some moments there where it's like the team just gets hurt so bad because of these undisciplined penalties. And so going into this game, I think one of the things I had brought up when I was talking to JT Sports, if you guys saw that video, it's like what would be the reason the Packers lose this game if they do? And I think one of the things was if they don't play clean football. Because for the past 2 games against the Vikings, against the, in the final week against the Bears, you have a fumble to start off early. You got Josh Jacobs' fumble against the Vikings. You have the Jaden Reed fumble against the Chicago Bears. You have a ton of penalties, a ton of mishaps, and that's what happened in this game as well. I mean, it started off with a fumble, even though I don't think it should have gone the Eagles' way, and then 3 picks. The Packers defense didn't force a turnover in this one, which was unfortunate. You have a missed field goal by Brandon McManus, who had only missed 1 field goal all season. And, there was a point there where, mid-fourth quarter, where if the McManus first 38-yard field goal had gone in, it would have been like 19-13. And so, like, that game was close a majority of the day, and it felt like it should not have been just because of how terrible the Packers' offense was. And so the penalties, a lot of them from the young offensive linemen who've barely played, with Elton Jenkins going down. Fumbles, though, Jordan Love interceptions, undisciplined play. It's just, sloppy football by the Packers, and that's something we've seen week after week after week. And I guess I was wrong to assume that they could get back to the play they had the 5 weeks prior, before the Vikings and before the Bears. I thought that, okay, they've had 2 bad games. I think they can turn it around, because, that was a team that for 5 straight games before those 2 games had put up 30-plus points. But I was dead wrong. They played sloppy football once again. And so now it's sad to think that we're in the offseason, that we're not going to see the Packers until September in a real-life game. So there's a lot to do this offseason, and I will be covering on this channel. Don't really want to think about it right now. This is unfortunate to be in this spot, to lose in the wildcard round after winning last year. Feels like the Packers have taken a step back. So not great, not what you want to see. Was hoping for a better result, but it is what it is. Packers lose 22-10. That is it for this one. Let me know your thoughts down below. It's been a fun season. Thank you guys for watching all year long, even though it didn't finish as I had hoped, as many of you guys had hoped. It's been a good season, and I will be out with videos all off season. So stay tuned. The Packers have a lot to do this off season, and we'll touch on it here in this channel. But thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.